Hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please do. So here on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, I have been working through a collection of Ray Bradbury short stories. A couple of years ago, I did a collection of 100 stories. Now I'm getting into a second collection of 100 stories. This is story number 13 of 100 in the stories of Ray Bradbury, and this story is The Earthmen from 1948. The way these videos go is I usually give a brief synopsis and then follow up with some thoughts and some impressions from the story and basically what I get out of it. So Captain Jonathan Williams and his crew of 3 land on Mars in a shiny new rocket. They approach the first house they come across, and there's an old lady at the door named Mrs. T. She speaks telepathically to them and doesn't seem at all impressed by their notion that we came from Earth, you know. You should be celebrating because we're the first ones to do it. This seems like no big deal to her. They want to talk to her husband. Husband refuses, says send him down the street to our neighbor. They do that. They go to the neighbor. The neighbor thinks that the other neighbor's playing a joke on them, sends them on down the street again on into town. Along the way, they meet a little girl. Girl doesn't seem too impressed with them either. They finally reach another guy, and he's like, what do you want? And says, we want a parade and some celebration and some hoopla, and give us the key to the city. We've just done something amazing. We're the first humans to visit your planet, and this should be a big deal. Guy's like, all right. You're gonna have to sign these papers, and there's some weird line about euthanasia on the paper, but they go along with it. He gives them a key, sends them into a building. They go down a long hallway and enter a big room. The room is full of other people. They think this is their celebration. They begin talking. Each of the 4 crew members gives a speech, and there's thunderous applause and roaring and cheering from all the other people. Finally, whoever's in charge comes in, and they get the idea that he's been standing out there watching them for hours. And they're not sure what's going on because things are getting a little bit weird. And they come to the conclusion that, you know what, this isn't our celebration. We're in a mental institution. So as it turns out, in a world where everybody has telepathy and if a person is mentally ill, everyone shares in their hallucinations. So everybody believes that Mr. Jonathan Williams has been walking around with a crew of 3 hallucinations, and that he's not really from Mars, from Earth, because this room is full of other people who believe that they are from Earth too. Jonathan pleads with the man, says, I'm not a hallucination, I can prove it to you. Come to my rocket, come see for yourself. They take him out to the rocket, he goes inside, he investigates, and he's very, very impressed. It's a very, very convincing hallucination. He says, this is worse than I thought. This guy has to be euthanized. So he pulls out a gun, shoots Captain Williams. Williams falls dead. His 3 alleged hallucinations, who are in fact his crewmen, do not fall dead. This is even more impressive yet. Hallucinations that survive after the death of the dreamer. He proceeds to shoot the 3 men. They fall. With all 4 of them laying on the ground, the rocket persists, and the man comes to the conclusion that their insanity has spread to me. I've become infected by their hallucination. He shoots himself. The 4 of them, or the 5 of them now, all lay dead on the sand. The rocket's there. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to do with it because they've never seen one before. They chop it up and sell it for scrap. So, a couple of interesting things going on here. Bradbury being, as he often is, very sort of cheeky with sort of turning cliches and ideas on their heads. First off, we have a couple of guys from the United States on Earth come to Mars, basically landing in somebody else's backyard, and they want to be celebrated for it. It's sort of shades of cross history, Europeans in particular, coming to a new continent and finding it occupied, but also claiming discovery of the continent. It sort of reminds me of that. But the main thing here is about mental illness and how we treat people and how we see people. This is a case of a society locking a bunch of people up because they all have they're having hallucinations. But in this case, there's a room full of people who, in fact, believe they came from Earth. Which begs the question, why do so many people have these same delusions, not just in the story, but also in the real world? And that, in fact, brings to mind the idea of alien encounters. So many people believe they've seen aliens. Who's the insane one? Can so many people truly share in the same delusion? Is that a consequence of, as a society, having the same fears and also having consumed the same material and the same suggestions that lead to this idea of people thinking about aliens? Is it that, or is it something else? Are aliens among us, and are we simply dismissing them because it's easier to brand people as insane rather than to try to understand and try to believe what they are going through? But it comes down to, and this is the main and final point, is that these Martians were afraid that insanity was contagious, that it spread, because in their society, they're all telepathic, therefore people do share in others' delusions, which is sort of interesting. It's almost like something you'd want to happen here, I think, because if people could actually see what other people were feeling and seeing and thinking, could you help them? Or also could you be proven wrong and have people sort of not judged anymore? But yeah, it's really a story about a society that is afraid of sort of mass hysteria catching and insanity catching, and thus putting people away, and then in many cases actually killing them, euthanizing them to prevent their manias from spreading. And being a story from 1948, I can't help but feel that Bradbury is somewhat commenting on not just, or I would say two of the big baddies of the 20th century, fascism and, of course, communism, which would have been front and center in his mind if he's following the news and sort of the way of the world in 1948, just coming out of the end of World War II, and then sort of beginning to launch into the Cold War very, very shortly after. So it's definitely some sort of vague commentary on that as well. Sort of all the hysteria of the Red Terror and spies among us, and we need to blacklist Hollywood and stuff because communism spreads and it's the big evil, and we're the good guys, and it's all that wrapped into one interesting little package in The Earthmen from 1948. Stories of Ray Bradbury, number 13 out of 100 if you are following along. Tune in next time. We will discuss the off season. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.